So, North Carolina Tar Heels, number 10, Drake Maye. 6'4", 230, I have him down as. Is that what everybody else?
That's what I've got.
Myers Park High School, named North Carolina's Football Player of the Year. Their 4-star prospect, originally committed to playing for Alabama before flipping over to the Tar Heels, which is...
Seems strange choice.
Yeah.
I can help you with that, sir. I can help you with that.
Ooh, yes. Why is that there, kids?
Bloodlines. Mr. May's father, Mark Maye, played quarterback for the Tar Heels from 1873? Jesus.
1883. The steam-powered era.
1983 to 1987. His brothers Luke and Bo both played basketball for the Tar Heels. Luke was a 2017 National Championship Team player.
So obviously, joined the Tar Heels, was redshirted in 2021, and did see a little bit of action though when Sam Howell went down, and then obviously, took over the reins when Howell was drafted. 2022, ACC Player of the Year, ACC Offensive Player of the Year, ACC Rookie of the Year, first team All ACC in 2022. Only had the one accolade, second team All ACC in 2023. It's 618 completions to 952 attempts, 64.9% completion there, 8,000 yards over his 3 years. He is a sophomore, so obviously coming out a little bit earlier. He's on the younger side.
Which is good, because most of the other guys in this class are like decrepitly aged.
Decrepitly old man, yeah. So, just 21 years of age. He'll just have turned 22 when the NFL season starts. 6'4", 230. So obviously, this dude is on the bigger side of some of the QBs that we're watching here. He's got that top physical. He's got those big physical attributes that go with it. I thought his accuracy was fantastic. I thought he had a great variety of passes as well. He's got surprisingly good mobility for a man who's 6'4", 230. The mobility was something that surprised me somewhat. Obviously, Ketz, you mentioned the bloodlines, which I think is always a good thing to have in your back pocket. The one thing I didn't really get about this guy, did anyone else find him to be a bit slow in getting the ball out on his action? From what I was watching, it just felt like it was an age before from him starting his action to him actually getting the ball out.
My negatives start with poor accuracy. I thought his accuracy gets worse with pressure. I thought he was pretty inconsistent. Tosses up throws on his back foot. Don't rate his processing speed or release speed.
Processing speed was on there as well. I thought that was slow.
I think I've got slow eyes, poor decision making.
Yeah, and that's susceptible to some pretty horrible looking interceptions as well. There were definitely some on the tapes that I was watching there that were pretty bad. He is one of those QBs that I think when there's a rhythm going, he's one of those that's like when it's going good, he's going good. When it's going bad, it's going pretty bad for him, and he's just going to go downhill with that. He kind of goes as the team goes, it feels almost like. So I don't think this is a guy that's going to be massively turning your fortunes around if you're a team on the struggle. I do feel like with the kind of attributes that he's got and some of the traits that he's got, he might be the most NFL. Do I want to say most NFL ready of these QBs? You don't think he's? I feel like he's got more of the sort of NFL traits that we see now. And obviously I've just talked about Jaden Daniels being what the NFL is going to be and probably is now already. But I do think Maye might be one of those guys that just feels like he could have the most seamless transition potentially. But there are a few, I think so, but I think there are some a lot of worrying negatives here that I think make you question, why is he up this high?
My one self-doubt thing is that people think they see Herbert. I'm not sure I see Herbert. I think I see the shadow side of Josh Allen. The bad traits.
The bad traits of Allen is definitely something I could see there, especially with those interceptions. Yeah,
but I was wrong on Herbert. I was out on Herbert massively, and he's turned out to be, Justin Herbert. So there's a chance I'm wrong on Drake Maye. But
I think he has the Justin Herbert kind of cannon arm. It's almost like on a video game where you have a special ability to slow time down and shoot, and then the bullet just flies instantly and hits the the guy he's shooting on the game. He has an ability to ping the ball kind of 20 to 40 yards, almost like elastic. It just seems to be almost a bit of a cheat code. But there are issues around, I think sometimes he reads the field well. It's kind of head snaps around 1, 2, 3, go, make a choice, pass. That's got to be kind of combined with anticipation. But then you watch other tape and you think, is this a different guy playing quarterback? He seems to have some days where I think the processing is good. He has some days where the processing is just all over the place, and he can make like you said, he can make a bad team worse or a good team better. On accuracy, on the deeper routes, it tends to be there. I think there's some understanding of zone when defenders kind of start to move pre-post snap processing, perhaps. I think equally bails out of the pocket quite easily at times, which I don't think he's necessarily behind a good offensive line. I'd like to have seen him behind a better one. But it's because his rushing game's okay. He's got quite quick feet. His changes of directions tends to work to the outside. There were some good highlights on the Florida A&M tape as an example of that. Okay, ball placement on short routes. But then you watch the opposite of highlights, like a low lights tape. It would be abysmal. And you think, no, there's no way this guy's a first-round pick.
It's tricky, isn't it? He's definitely the Josh Allen, Justin Herbert camp of just a big arm, like a guy that can just throw the ball wherever you want it. And there's times these guys work out and we'll all look like idiots because, what were you doing? This guy's one of the best throwers of the ball in this draft, and I'm assuming that's why Tom likes him, and that's a good argument. You can there's a reason for that. His footwork's pretty good. His pocket movement's not bad. He's got general calmness. His body mechanics are pretty good. His base is active. Throws with velocity on the move. He's a decent runner. He's got some creativity when the plays breaks down. You can see the highlights, like you say. The highlights are there, but then the lowlights are just. Ugh. Can he even diagnose a defense? Does he even see what's happening? He seems to run into pressure, throws into coverage. The completion percentage has never been higher than 65% in 22. That was his highest grade. I just worry it's an illusion.
He's only played.
Did you watch the Clemson game? He comes up against one of the better pass defenses in college. It looked awful. 44.4% completion, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 16 completions on 45 dropbacks. I mean, it's just when things go wrong, he escalates the problem.
Yeah.
He doesn't. He makes it worse for you. If you're in a hole, you're going to lose by double the amount of points when he's trying to win you the game. He just plays hero ball. It's rough. I think he's going to be a pick machine. I think he's going to be benched. If you draft him and you start him, you're going to be benching him. It's Ryan Leaf. He's a bust. Avoid. I'm -2 out on this guy. Mega. But there's a chance if you sit him, you develop him, there's a chance here. You go down the Josh Allen route of not putting too much pressure on, see him develop. I think there's a chance, and that's why I don't disagree with Tom's take. I can see the possibilities of him being good, but I wouldn't draft him personally.
Just to come back on a couple of things you said. First of all, I agree. I found Maye to be a very instinctual player. I think the more he was tasked with doing, the more he's tasked with remembering, reading, playing instruction, the less comfortable he looked, right? Perhaps, that plays into that gunslinger idea for me. Good to have instincts. Good to have instincts, right? But I don't know that I'd be happy with him as my starter in year one, just to go to what Mark said about being game ready. I do agree he would benefit from a little bit of polish. And he is a younger prospect, so I do think I'd quantify him as a relatively high ceiling prospect, right? Which I think is interesting. But then that pulls me back to what Tom said about he's the safe pick. I think is what he said. So that's interesting to me because I wouldn't quantify it like that. He might be the upside pick. I don't know that I'd quantify him as the safe pick, which I find interesting. But just to come back to your a pick machine, PFF does have his turnover worthy play rate in 2023 as 1.9%. Which is pretty good. He has thrown 9 picks this year, but what I also find interesting is that his completion percentage, 63.3%, adjusted 75.1%. That's a huge leap for an adjusted completion percentage, which suggests, I think, that he was maybe let down this year by some of his weapons.
It's not so much about what he did, it's about the mentality. You watch the tape, you see him just hurling up balls that shouldn't be right.
Yeah, I agree. He's not right now. He does not look to me as a guy who can really read the field under pressure. I think if he gets under pressure, he likes to tuck and run, or he likes to hurl if he sees a guy open. You just need to develop this guy into having a little bit more feel for anticipation, a little bit more feel for throwing in rhythm and time, and that's true with a lot of these guys at this age. But he does have the tools. I don't know. I feel like maybe I'm not as low as some of the vibes that appear to be going around the room right now. It's funny you mentioned Josh Allen and Herbert. I don't know. Maybe it's just his face. But I was just talking about the running game in my notes. I was saying, obviously, he ran a lot of RPOs, a lot of read option stuff. Unsure if he'll be the level of athlete in the NFL to make that his thing. He isn't Josh Allen, for example, maybe closer to a Herbert in terms of movement. That was my opinion. I don't know. He doesn't strike me as a Josh Allen like... Maybe he will want to, but I don't know that he's going to have that same game-changing ability to just flip plays and flip the field with his legs.
He's a pocket passer, isn't he?
I think he's like the new breed of mobile kind of pocket passer, right? Because you've kind of got to be now, right? I mean, how many statues do you even see left in the NFL? Very few. And I think he's this kind of version of like the thick, well-built, 6 foot plus quarterback. Cannon for an arm, yeah. Who is willing to take a little bit of punishment, running over the middle and whatnot, and can do that. But I don't think that he's got Josh Allen level athleticism in his pocket. That to me seems like people are out of pocket with that.
Is Drake Maye going to be the guy then at the combine who throws an absolute bomb and that's where everyone freaks out?
Definitely.
He's the prime
100%.
candidate for that this season, isn't he?
Yeah, he's the guy that absolutely unfurls one, which has got everyone swooning on the coverage. Absolutely, that's
and he looks like a QB in build and structure, and I actually think he is accurate in all 3 areas of the field. But I think someone mentioned this, but he throws the ball with the best touch and the nicest tight spiral I think in the class.
No, I don't know about the spiral. I agree with you with the touch, but there's another guy that's got the best spiral.
Maybe it's the same guy I was thinking actually. I just think his balls look very easy to catch. Art. She's like always nice. He kind of feathers a nice ball. It always seems to have like quite a nice placement on it. Clean hands catches a lot of the time. So I think there's a lot to like tools wise. I think the questions here are with like football IQ, the development, slowing the game down for him. He's that kind of prospect to me. So that to me is an upside prospect. I would have him at I put him as a 0 to be honest, but it depends. I mean, if we're talking about his value as a top 3 prospect, then yeah, I don't know. I would be getting comfortable at the mid-round range. So is that a -1 maybe? Perhaps.
I don't know. It's up to you to decide.
That's what I'm kind of umming and ahhing about because I had him down as a 0 as well. But I mean, if his value is top 3,
I'm going to remain 0. I think because I think the way I'm viewing this is that it's about how I'm feeling if he's coming to me at the pick, and I wouldn't be banging the table for him, but I would say this is a toolsy guy that I think we can do a lot with. There's development opportunities here, and there's a high upside. So I'm going to stick with 0. I think -1 will be
at value. We're saying at value.
Yeah.
Right.
Now the value might end up being overinflated, to my opinion, but you understand what I'm saying.
Who's the most risky guy out of these 3? Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake.
I actually think it's Jaden Daniels because of the injury concerns in terms of risk. But in terms of what you're asking, which I think is being maybe a little bit obtuse, I think it is May.
No, it's a fair point. We said that, it's a very true concern. Jaden Daniels needs to protect himself better. It's no good being injured, so that's a valid point. Drake Maye seems like a tough dude, right? He's built, he's big, he's tough. He's going to put out 17 games for you. So.
I just worry about really dogging on this guy too much because I think that if he puts it together after a year sitting on the bench or something, that he could come out and be a little bit of a storm in a teacup. I'm worried that
absolutely. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like he's Josh Allen, Justin Herbert. These guys with the big arm that you kind of think, wow, he's a pick machine. Does he read the field? They come into the league. They take a little while, but then suddenly they develop and they blow up, and that could make us all look stupid. Ketz is going to come in with a +2 red star, maybe. I know he's done his red star, but and he could win with this. So and Tom, Tom might be proved right.
Mm-hmm. I could see it. How does he compare to a Will Levis, by the way, last year? Because that's the closest I feel like we had to this last year.
His pocket movement's better than
it is, right? Yeah. But that was like the big arm guy last year, right? And I was going to say you would have him above Will Levis, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
There's a reason he's up there. There's a reason that everyone's touting him as being a top 3 pick. And I think you can see some of those reasons why. It's just, his floor is the worry, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think so.
I don't think.
Well, I don't know about the class yet, so
I think
can't
he's
answer that.
being drafted that high because of his position and because teams desperately need quarterbacks every year in the NFL. I'm a 0 just for the record. I am Denard between everything from a +1 to a -1, and I've ended up somewhere in the middle with a 0. But
Well, that's fair enough.
yeah, I wouldn't be falling over myself to draft this guy. And he's only played 30 games, so whether he can give you 17 in a season or not waits to be seen.
He's the one where if the other two guys go 1 and 2, I'm like, okay, yeah, fair enough. But then when the third pick comes around, I'm like, right, let's be picking the Marvin Harrison, right, or whoever it is, the edge, whoever the big guys are, before this guy is where I would be talking.
Take a tackle, take a receiver,
Yeah,
take a
exactly.
rusher.
Trying to think where would be a good fit for him. That's a tricky one. I was thinking you want a guy with a good O-line.
Well, don't they all?
True, but I think you want a good O-line to protect this guy more than anyone else because he wants to just stand there and hurl it.
Yeah, but they all have, right? That's what's interesting about this class, right? I mean, to me, you said that they're all
the other two. I think you could live without a good O-line as much as this guy. This guy needs.
I think for him to be successful, he needs to fall in the draft. He needs to go to a sort of mid-range team, maybe 10 to 20. He needs to be in that kind of range. You need someone like the Patriots at 3 to take, the wide receiver. You need that kind of thing to happen. Because if he is drafted...
Like the Raiders. Team like the Raiders. Who went to the Raiders?
The Saints? Would he fall well at the Saints? Maybe?
Oh, the Saints would be good. Yeah, that's a good fit.
Yeah, there we go. That's where he's going. We've decided.